Hello everyone, good afternoon, and we are finally back for the match day after it seemed like almost an year since the last test match, but we are finally here on the day where India take on England in the third test match at Headingley, and it is going to be a cracker of a game. Why? Because the weather forecast is clear for the next 5 or 6 days. So we are good to go to see a classic test match once again and to discuss the pre-show analysis for our show on the Third Man Cricket Show. We got two of our experts on the show regulars, or I might say by the time this show will be hosted. We got Ronak and Hrishi both joining us with us. Really excited to hear both of your opinions about this match. So welcome Ronak, welcome Hrishi. So let us begin with the show. So finally, after almost 10 days, we are here to discuss about Headingley. And let us start with Rishi. So Rishi, we spoke a little bit on the podcast as well, while discussing the heroics that were there seen in the Lord's Test match. But we haven't actually spoken that much about the build up towards the third Test match because we were celebrating, to be honest. And it's okay because it was a very historic win. So I want to know your thoughts, Rishi. Like, how will that win contribute towards how India's mindset will be going forward in the series?
Yes. So they will be positive going forward for this test game because they have already won a game in England, and that is before England has actually started off with whenever we go to England, it is always that we used to get dominated, but this time we have started with the dominance. So that is one good part to start the series off, and this will play on the minds of our captain as well as their captain. So they would want to go for a win as well as we would want to go for a draw or a win. So I think if India play off with how they played in the last game, they will surely win this game as well.
Definitely. And we also got Ronak here with us, who's joining us after a long time because of the gap that there was after the second test match. So, Ronak, you weren't there for the podcast while we had a 1 hour discussion with Rishi and Kaustu for that matter. So, it was a pretty interesting and heated one in the comments, let's say, because of the all the hype that was created during the IPL. But,
Yeah.
Ronak, I want to cut your thoughts. So, we spoke earlier about how uh, a break in between test matches can play on the minds of the players. So, who do you think will benefit from the 10 days gap? Do you think India will be quite happy after the hard work that they put in for the first two test match, earning the deserved 10 days break, or do you think England would be really the relief side?
Neither of the teams would mind the break, I guess. Both the teams have wanted to have a break, especially England, as a matter of fact, because most of their pacers are injured or say are going through some sort of niggle or that sort. So Markwood is also out of the third test, as we can already see. So they really wanted this break, and especially what James Anderson had seen, like has gone through, like his mindset, he wanted that change, and we might see more lethal James Anderson. But as an Indian fan, we don't want to see that, but we might see a lethal James Anderson back again with a positive mindset. From India's perspective, our fast bowlers deserved that break. After that intense 60 overs of match, they deserved this break for sure. So I would say both the teams wanted the break, but who would benefited from it? The match will unfold. That the match will tell us who benefited from it, because India has a positive mindset as of now, but England, we cannot count England out or any day, any given day. They can come back at us at any point of time. So we would be wary about that and just hope that our momentum goes on, because though we are 1-0 up in the series, but we were deserving, or we are deserving to go 2-0, because the first test match what happened we all know. So that's it from the whole scenario, and let's see how the match unfolds and who actually benefited from the break, as you asked.
Definitely, and it was really unfortunate what happened on the day five of the first Test match, rain playing a part. But a good news for all the audience: the weather seems to be holding up for this Test match. So we'll show you the weather forecast for the next 5 days or so. So the weather forecast will be on your screen right now, and we'll be really glad as the audience of this game. So it really seems like we can have all 5 days play on our show. So let's see. So as you can see, there is very minimal chances of rain, or should I say almost 100% of a clear day's play for the next week or so. So that is one good thing about this test match. And really, Headingley has always been a very important venue in test cricket. We saw Stokes heroics on this day for that, in fact, in 2019, that masterclass he pulled off in the fourth inning. So hopefully we'll get to see yet another classic at Headingley while the weather permits. So let's take now some of the questions that are being commented, because we got a very lively audience in the comment section. And why not? I mean, after a long time, we are here to discuss a test match. So Ankit is asking that will we see the same heat which we witnessed in the second match, Anderson versus Bumrah? So Rishi, do you expect the rivalry to kick on from the second test match till the end of the series, or do you feel things might have just died down a little bit in the 10 days ka gap?
I think it would, just take 1 or 2 days for Bumrah to cool down from whatever happened. So I don't think Bumrah will, he would start off with anything from here on. But if anything starts from the English side, I don't think Bumrah wouldn't. I mean, he would actually give it back to them, because you have some. There's a level to actually be patient and keep taking it and not say anything or not give it back anything. So I think they have already crossed that level in 2 games. So uh, I think if anything comes back at them, they are going to give it back. The Indians. So whoever it may be, in the whole 11, whoever it may be, if one person is abused or one person is sledged, the whole Indian team will give it back.
Definitely. And there is one important team news change that has just come in the last few days also. So David Malan is making his way back into the English test squad. So the last time we saw David Malan in the test squad was, I think, around 2017, 2018. But since then, he has transformed himself into a specialist limited overs batsman. So it is always good to see David Malan making his way into the test side. Quite similarly, the same approach that Rohit Sharma took to get into the Indian side in the longer format. So Ronak, what are you expecting from David Malan in the English top order? Because we know that England are quite vulnerable in their top order. Barring Joe Root, I don't think anyone is dependable in their top four. So your thoughts? Do you think David Malan would improve their top order? Who's?
Yeah, David Malan, if he adapts to the test match conditions, then he would be a vital cog because he can play the aggressive brand of cricket that, as you said, Rohit Sharma does. If he takes on the bowlers in, say, and if the conditions are a bit favorable for batting, then he might prove to be a dangerous one because he can play the longer innings, as we see that he does not likes to lose his wicket after say a 20 or 30 runs in the T20 or ODIs format. So in test, he has the chance as well as opportunity to convert into big ones like Rohit Sharma converts in 200s and all that. So if he takes on that metal and have a positive mindset, then we can see David Malan special in the third test. But the thing is that Leeds is not a very good pitch or a very good Leeds does not have a very good condition for the top three to perform. Generally, the overcast condition sees that top three or top generally the four, five, six are the mainstays in a Leeds match. If you see the history of the game, then generally the four, five, six scores better or more than number one, two, and three in Leeds as well. So it would be a great opportunity for David Malan, but I don't think that he would be able to cope up with the Leeds scenario, especially our bowling firepower. I think he will be knocked over by our bowling firepower if that happens also. Hoping for that.
Definitely. And I could see Kaustubh mentioning in the comments that where is Sanchit coming live from? So it is a very special episode because we are here live from IISM campus itself. So this is much as close as you can get from in studio experience for our show on Third Man Cricket Show. So it really is a special episode. So hats off to all the people working with me to make this happen from within the campus. So it is a very amazing experience to host it from within the campus. So hoping for something similar in the future as well when things normalizes. So apart from, so back to cricket, we could see lots of comments about Ravichandran Ashwin and his part in this test match. So there were lots of scrutiny about Ashwin missing out in the first two test matches. So Rishi, do you possibly think that Ashwin might make his way back into the 11, or do you think Leeds pitch might not just suit him at this moment?
I mean, you see, the team is winning right now, so we need to focus on the winning combination. Yes, if something was going wrong, or if the match would have been a draw, the second game would have been a draw, then we would have considered playing Ashwin. But right now we have a winning combination. Why to change that combination when everything is going right? I mean, yes, we can consider about Ashwin. He might get into the 11, but I am not sure who will he replace in the 11, because everyone in the 11 has contributed equally well in the last game. So yes, India will miss him, but on at the same moment they won't, because Indian fans actually expect Ashwin to be playing, but I don't think Virat Kohli is actually considering in a good way. I'm saying, see, it's always good when a team is not dependent on any player. That proves that a team is, it can win in any condition without any favored player. Like tomorrow, if Virat Kohli is taking a break, also if Indian team can win there, then there's nothing better than that. Like we saw in Gaba. Then even if Ashwin is not, he's not playing right now, India is winning. So it is something which is actually a positive thing for Indian cricket, and I think it should continue in the future as well. Even if our pace bowlers, mainstream pace bowlers, take a break from the 11, then the players who are getting an opportunity should prove themselves and should win the game for India.
Definitely, and lots of praises for the Indian side, especially in the longer format since recent years, since the dominance era started in the early 2018. But one team that is not actually at their best in the longer format since recent years is our opposition, England themselves. So, Ronak, there was one question by Ankit asking about the fact what is the biggest reason for England's failure, not just this test series, but also we saw couple of months ago they lost at the hands of New Zealand at their home. So very rarely you see a team losing two consecutive home series in one summer. So that might be a huge possibility given the way how India are currently playing in this test series. So Ronak, I want you to take over this question. What do you think is the main reason why England are not performing to the level that they were expected? Do you think it's a form for someone like Sam Curran, who's known for his heroics down the order, or do you feel something else, like maybe missing the likes of Jofra Archer or even Ben Stokes in their middle order?
I feel the biggest concern is over dependence on Joe Root and James Anderson to perform. Uh, as Sunil Gavaskar also said, they are probably a two-man side or 2.5-man side as of now, because no one else is performing. If you are in the playing 11, you are worthy enough to be in the side, and you are expected to perform for any national team you are representing. But England's player, more or less the top seven or top eight, they are doing enough to keep themselves into the side, but not doing enough to be reckoned with. So they are just making the odd 20s, odd 30s, so that selectors cannot drop them for the next test match. They want to give them one more chance. That has been their hallmark for like last 8 to 10 tests. They have been good at making 20s or 30s. Their lower orders like Johnny Besto or Josh Butler, they have been consistently making those 20s and 30s. But to convert them and make into something substantial which will impact the flow of game, they have not been able to do that. Only Joe Root is the only consistent player, and also his consistency came when they started to play against India. Before that, he was also struggling. So that is one of the main factors, that they are overly dependent on Joe Root. Otherwise, I feel the main reason for concern, apart from over dependency on these two players, the main reason of concern can be they have a pool of not more than say 7 to 8 proper test players. India has the flexibility of say 25 to 30 test players who can come in any point of time. But if we talk about England perspective, or say even Australia or other test playing nations, if we see their team and evaluate, then we don't see a crop of more than 7 to 8 core players who can represent their test team in any given point of time in any given conditions. So that they have to look upon. England heavily invested on their ODIs and limited over cricket, but they will have to certainly look upon their first class. They have a decent first class structure, but they will have to back that and give chances to the performers in the first class unit. So if that happens, and if that happens consistently, and if they go on to look beyond a player like Johnny Bairstow or some player who is performing well in first class, then they can actually, like, there was no sense in dropping Jack Crowley for the third test match. I did not see. He was the only decent performer in the, say, top three. If I had to say pick out of those top three in last two test matches, I only saw him that he was being able to defend or say do something substantial in the top three as of now. He was dropped in the second test. I don't know why, but that is England for you. They heavily depend on one rotation policy, and that sucks. The other thing is that they drop certain players like Moeen Ali for no reason at all. So that they have to look upon it. I think that is one of the biggest reasons why they struggle in these conditions. They have to play their best 11 given available on the day.
Definitely, and very well summed up, Ronak, about what are the different areas of concern for England in the first class format. But let's just divert our eyes towards the Indian side. So we are playing at Headingley for the first time since 2002, and that test match was pretty historic for Team India, because in that test match we won the game by an innings and 40 odd runs. But in that test match, you saw a performance of a lifetime from number 3, number 4, and number 5, Rahul Dravid, Sachin Tendulkar, and even VVS Lakshman for that matter. So, Rishi, my question to you, and also Abhinav is mentioning in the comments. So, the dreaded question of when will Virat's 71st come? Do you think that this is the game where all the wait ends? This is the game where all the wait of 2 years, Joby, all the Virat Kohli fans who were expecting a big performance from him, the wait will finally end in this test match. Do you think that will happen?
Yes, I think that flying kiss is coming this game only. That flying kiss will come. And yes, fingers crossed. I'm not going to jinx, so don't come and smash my head later. But yes, I just hope that at least one of these both score 100 in this game, and I just hope that even Rohit Sharma also reaches his 100, because he hasn't scored 100, and I badly want him to score 100. Being a Rohit Sharma fan, so that is one thing. And yes, hopefully 3, 4, 5 both score. All the three score some runs.
Definitely, and lots of humorous comments mentioning about the fact that it is very cold out here. But yeah, I mean, you can't actually plan for what you are going to wear on the show. While it was all spontaneous, so but at least I'm looking presentable. So that's actually a good thing. But let's focus on the test match at hand. So Ronak, you spoke about the areas of concern for England for that matter, but India, even though in their dominance since 2018, we still have our own areas of concern, and one of them is our middle order. So in the last match, you saw a brilliant partnership between Pujara and Rahane, which actually saved the match for us on the fourth day at Lords. But still, the problem in our middle order is a very recurring one. So do you think that what could be the possible solutions to provide a bit of stability in our middle order? Do you think we should tweak with the batting order just to provide that stability, or do you feel it is fine as it is right now?
See, Indian team is very high on emotions. They like their players, they like their numbers which they play at, and they are very rigid with it. If they had to play 3, 4, 5, they will play Cheteshwar Pujara, Virat Kohli, or Ajinkya Rahane. They won't change the numbers just for the purpose of emotions. If they had to change something, they will bring on some other person to fill that boot. But for this test match, I don't see any change happening in that order. And as you said about Virat Kohli's big one, or even say 3, 4, 5 getting us a big score, I don't mind even if they get a 60s or 70s all three of them, or two out of three of them. Because in England, as of current trend, we are seeing that a, a score of 300, 350 is very good on these pitches, that those are very imposing, and they can actually get you in an advantageous position if you score around 300. And how will 300 come if your two or three or four players in the top six goes on to make a 50 plus, and one person carries on the inning? So if KL Rahul or Rohit Sharma goes on to carry on the innings, two of the three, four, five can go and score a decent 50 plus or 50, 60 plus runs. That would be good enough as far as the team is concerned. As a Virat Kohli fan, I would also like to see that 100 coming in, but I don't mind a 60s or 70s, a good 60, 70 from our 3, 4, and 5. If that happens, we are in good hands. And uh, honestly saying, one of the previous comments I saw that it was about Anderson or Bumrah's uh, rivalry brimming up in the second test match. बट मेरे को पर्सनली लगा ना कि एंडरसन वर्सेस विराट कोहली होता, एंड विराट कोहली फिनिशिंग ऑफ एंडरसन्स करियर इन दिस सीरीज, that would have been the perfect send off for like a master batsman giving a good baton to master bowler. That would have been a good contest. But I don't mind Jasprit Bumrah versus Anderson as well, as far as long as we go on to winning the match and Jasprit Bumrah, the batsman, also shows up. So I don't mind that a bit if that is to happen. Yeah, that is what the perspective is on if India has the concerns of 3 or 4, 5. I think in this test match, at least there would be no experiments as far as our batting order is concerned. There could be some chance with Ashwin because say Leeds in past 4 or 5 matches has seen spinners getting wickets. So spinners has a decent bowling average in Leeds ground. So maybe because Jadeja did not get any wicket in the first two test match, that is why we are having the debate at the first place if we can get in Ashwin or not. If Jadeja has would have performed with the bowling, or say have gotten 1 or 2 wickets, we would not have this discussion that will Ashwin get in the side or not. So this is what the perspective is all around. I don't think there will be any change in top six, but top we might see Ashwin getting a place in the squad, just on the basis of what the history of Leeds says, that spinners do come in handy in this ground.
Definitely. And we saw Virat Kohli mentioning it in his press conference yesterday about the fact that how difficult it is to change a winning combination, especially given that there was a 10 days gap. So you might not see any changes in the Indian camp, but from the opposition's point of view, there is one forced change which England will have to make, and that is at the expense of Mark Wood. So Mark Wood actually bowled really well in the second test match, especially in the third innings where India were batting. But unfortunately, he had to nurse an injury which ultimately ruled him out of this third test match. And there are reports that someone like Craig Overton could make his way back into the test team, or even an outside chance for someone like Saqib Mahmood, who recently made his debut for England in the ODI format just a few weeks ago against Pakistan. So, Rishi, your thoughts on England potentially once again missing their key bowler? We saw them facing lots of injury concerns with the likes of Jofra Archer being out, Stokes being unavailable, and now another blow for them in the name of Mark Wood. So, what are your thoughts on how much will England miss Mark Wood in this Test match?
They can actually make a bowling combination of only injured bowlers, fast bowling injured bowlers. They can make a different bowling combination and play a injured bowlers 11. That is also possible for them. So I'm just worried. Will Joe Root start bowling fast? Will he do that for his team if it is required? So I just want to see if Joe Root can do it. But if he cannot, then yes, Sakib Mahmood is one whom I'm looking forward to, because he can swing the ball both the ways, and though he doesn't have that much pace which is required for international cricket, but still he can swing the ball. So he can actually do that magic with the swing, if not by pace. And just one correction, which you actually said that only one force change is there, but there are two force changes. That is, one is Mark Wood and another is I think the openers change. That is Dom Sibley. He's, I think, dropped from the side, so he's going to be a force change.
Yes, definitely. England will be fielding their two new combination of opener, or I might say that both the openers have a very pretty unusual hairstyle. If you just look at it, the hairstyle of Hasim Ahmed and even uh, who's that? Rory Burns. So it would be really a sight to watch out for, especially the bowlers. But yes, there will be lots of changes in the England cap, and it might be looking like a panic situation for that end. But Ronak, let us talk about one man, and we spoke very highly of him after the Australian series, and that is Rishabh Pant. After his Gabba heroics, he was pretty much the best batsman in the Test side, arguably in our Test side after that Gabba win. But since the World Test Championship final, Rishabh Pant is really looking a pretty different batsman than what he was seen as before the English tour. So, are you really concerned as an Indian fan about Rishabh Pant? And do you think that the way he actually got those runs in Australia and even in India when England toured down here, so do you think that he might not be able to do something similar with the Duke's ball swinging in both direction, or do you feel that Rishabh Pant so he should just bat the way he wants, and the runs will indeed come once everything is normal.
I'm not that much concerned, but see, let's agree on a fact that Indian batters do have a problem with swinging conditions from top number one to number six. They, our openers have had a mental blockage before this series, and they have decently figured it out and are performing decently well for, as a matter of fact, in this series. So something similar, our say 3, 4, 5, or 6 has to do in that a matter of aspect. Rishabh Pant definitely is a very vital cog because he has the ability to change a game in, say, in a matter of 1 hour in a test match. So I think that Rishabh Pant, we should not be worry about Rishabh Pant's form in this series. We just think that Rishabh Pant should choose the balls well. Like Virat Kohli has also the same blockage. He goes on to fetch the ball on fifth or sixth stump. So Rishabh Pant is like on the other platform of it. He just wants to hit every ball out of the park, irrespective of the situation. So I think he should play with the aggressive mindset, but with decent caution. Like he have to wait for his opportunity because, and especially on this ground, he will get those opportunity because this ground historically has been a high scoring ground. If the conditions are not overcast, it is just a flat out pitch. It will not support anything as anything. It will not support any bowlers. We will have to be very good with the line and length if we had to get anything out of it if the conditions are not overcast. So Rishabh Pant has the best chance to score in this test match at least, and I don't think we should be very concerned about Rishabh Pant's form because those 20s and 30s which he is making are looking very good. It's just only a matter of time when he converts those again because last time in England he did manage to score 100. So I think that this is a one chance where he can replicate those sort of heroics given the conditions and the pitch. So as an Indian fan, I think he will do good in this test match.
Definitely, and we hope that Rishabh Pant will continue his heroics in this format. But speaking about heroics, there is one. Yeah, Ronak, go ahead.
And not to forget about Rishabh Pant's wicket keeping that has improved tremendously from last Australia's test match. And if that is something to look by, then that kid is trying to improve. He is trying very hard to maintain that level of test standards that Riddhiman Saha has set for wicket keeping. So if he is trying to do that, we should be very passionate about it. That and we should be very cautious about him not him dropping him or something thinking about dropping him because if we give him a doubt in his mind that whether I will play or not, he will again start performing poorly. We should give him sense of security that you are in for this series. Go and play yourself. He will do wonders.
Definitely, and very well summed up about Rishabh Pant's wicket keeping because that always goes unnoticed while we give those praises to his batting. But speaking about praises and heroics, there is one there is one very popular expert amongst the show, and we could see that reflecting in the comment section. So Rishi, you have seemed to have lots of popularity in on the show. So lots of comments from your fans. So let us give you the chance to speak about the next question. So I could only see Ankit asking a very serious question on the show. So let us take that question. So we spoke about the use of DRS from India's point of view in the second Test match about how we use them poorly, especially when when Mohammad Siraj is bowling. But we actually had a great outing with the DRS in the fourth innings while we came on to ball. So Rishi, do you think that India should actually be wary about the fact about how they use the technology going forward? Because yes, we might get excited. Sometimes the captain and even the bowlers get excited to take one review or the other, especially if it's someone like Joe Ruda, whom we saw Virat Kohli and the team spending at least two or three reviews per innings on him. So, do you think we should actually start keeping ourselves calm while taking the DRS decisions?
First, though, I want to say thanks to everyone. मतलब इतना praise कभी कभी नहीं देखा है comment में. So thanks for that. And yes, about the DRS and Siraj ka relationship. Actually, Siraj should actually be given three अलग से DRS. मतलब इंडिया के DRS तीन है वो अलग से. सिराज के लिए अलग से रखने चाहिए तीन DRS. देखो जब लेना है ले ले, उसके बाद मत पूछना. So that should be one thing which should be done for Siraj, because until and unless he doesn't realize that, there's no point. He gets so much excited, he cannot control his emotions, and then in that he goes and convinces Virat Kohli to take that decision, and he goes to a person who again cannot control his emotions. Virat Kohli is such a person who cannot control his emotions, so it is that वो जो होता है ना फ्रेंडशिप में कि ले लो, मतलब नो ओवर थिंकिंग अबाउट इट, नो डबल थिंकिंग अबाउट इट, जस्ट ले लो, कोई बात नहीं. And then they lose it off. So actually, about this DRS, coming back to this DRS point of view, they should actually leave this DRS thing to Rishabh Pant. Rishabh Pant should take the decision whether the DRS has to be taken or not, because it is very serious, a very serious thing. Because when India is uh, what can you say, in a difficult position where somewhere around 280 for 2 or 280 for 3, and then you need a review, but you do not have a review because you have lost all the reviews, or you have one review but you're double thinking whether to take it or not.
Definitely, and some good points made by Rishi on the show about the usage of DRS, and we hope that we continue to use it very effectively, like we saw in the fourth innings. But we are closing to the ending times of our session. We have got close to 8 to 10 minutes, so let us move on to the last segment of our show, and that is the prediction time. And so let us start off with the toss, because we know how toss decides a game, especially in English conditions. So Ronak. Winning the toss, losing the toss, it really is a very complicated decision, because first, we rarely win the toss when Virat Kohli is captaining. And when was the last time we won a toss in England? I mean, you have to turn the history book to its pages. So it's really going to be a thing to watch out for. But if in case hypothetically we indeed win the toss, what would be an ideal decision to do? Because we know that in 2019, in that same Headingley innings, we forget that England in the first innings they got bowled out for 67, but they still went on to chase 371 on the final day to win that test match. So ideally it looks like a good pitch to chase a big score. We saw West Indies doing the same thing in 2017, chasing around 340 against England in a day and night test match at Headingley. So winning the toss and bowling first might be a good option, don't you think?
Uh, that might be a case, but as you talked about stats and history, there is one more stat that uh, winning, like the batting first team in the first innings has won four test matches, and batting second in the first innings has won three matches. So there is not much of a difference if you bat first or second in Headingley, because in because Headingley is throughout a flat wicket. You have to see that it is through and through, all the 5 days will be a flat wicket. The bowlers will have to really struggle to get the wickets when it is not overcast. Over in Headingley, the only thing matters for the bowler is the whether the conditions are overcast or not. If not, bowlers will struggle. If yes, then we might see a collapse, like as you mentioned about England getting out for 67 runs. That can also happen. But Virat Kohli winning the toss, that would be a first thing to conquer. If he actually wins the toss, I would personally like to see him bat first, because see, pressure situation might get to anyone, and England is not the team which will handle the pressure better. Past England teams might have handled the pressure better, but this England team crumbled for 60 overs when we put the pressure on them. So again, if we want them to crumble under pressure, then we would give them the opportunity at the last innings, like to bat fourth in say. So if India sets a target, England might crumble again because they are not the team which handles the pressure better. So I think if India actually goes on to win the toss, I think they should bat first.
Definitely, and we might even see Joe Root making the same decision if he wins the toss. Winning the toss and batting first seems to be a very popular choice. Even in the comments, we could see comments from Abhinav Apurva mentioning that India should win the toss and look to bat first. So, Rishi, do you agree with Ronak about winning the toss and putting England to on the field to bowl, or do you feel that we should bowl? And also, there is one question from Akshat that about Ashwin. We spoke earlier about Ashwin. Do you see him making his way into the 11?
For this match, I do not see him making his way to the 11, but maybe in the last two games he might just make it. And coming back to the toss, is Virat Kohli winning the toss is like third man cricket show not happening for one test game, which is a very rare sight. So it is that close to each other. So yes, we just hope that Virat Kohli wins the toss for at least one time, from a very from a time of 15 or 20 test games. Fingers crossed again. So if he does, then we'll bat first. And if he doesn't, and if Joe Root wants to bowl first, then we can bat first. But whatever happens, India should bat first. And if India bowls first, then we have Rishabh Pant to chase the score. So India is going to win this game. If it doesn't
Definitely.
rain.
And Rishi, there is one comment for you from Abhinav that you seem to agree with everyone except for Michael Vaughan. And I might add one more name, and that is James Bracey also. So you might not agree with both of them, but you can agree with anyone else. So keeping humor aside, I think Ronak, Rishi, it was really a fantastic for almost 40 minutes discussion with both of you, and it is always good to see a lively comment section before a test match begins. And we know that how important the role of a fan is, especially in this to keep the test format alive. So we hope to see a great game of cricket. We hope to see a great game of cricket in this test match as well. But before we wrap up, we would just like to show you the new trailer, which will be displayed to you right now.
आज इन बच्चों को कह सकते हैं कि इतना हमारा एक्सपीरियंस और इतने लोगों के बीच में हमने क्रिकेट खेली है, जब इन बच्चों को जब हम कुछ बताते हैं और उनको देखते हैं इम्प्रूव होते हुए, तो सचमुच वो शाम वो दिन बहुत अच्छा जाता है कि हाँ, ये अब हमारा नाम रोशन करेंगे, देश का नाम रोशन करेंगे।
सर, स्टीव स्मिथ की टेक्निक बड़ी अनकन्वेंशनल है, तो उसको अगर एक वर्ड में बोलना चाहेंगे तो कैसे बोलेंगे?
नेवर फॉलो दिस काइंड ऑफ क्रिकेटर्स। वो एक अपनी अलग उसकी टेक्निक है और मैं कभी भी इस तरह के जो जैसा कि वी आर फॉलोइंग, मैं सुनील गावस्कर जी को बहुत फॉलो करता हूँ और जो कोचिंग के जितने पैरामीटर्स हैं बेसिक जो चीज़ें होती हैं कि आपका हेड स्टडी होना चाहिए, आपका मूवमेंट नहीं होना चाहिए, आप फोकस होने चाहिए, जिसकी वजह से आप बहुत कंट्रोल आपका शॉट के ऊपर होना चाहिए। देखिए, हर खिलाड़ी की अपनी एक अलग एक टेक्निक होती है और उसका एक एडॉप्टेशन है। तो मैं नहीं चाहूँगा कि उसको कोई कॉपी करे। जो क्लोज टू द टेक्निक प्लेयर्स हैं उनको फॉलो, कभी गिव अप नहीं करना है आपको। आपका चाहे सीजन खराब हो जाए, चाहे जैसा दौर हो, आपको अपनी ट्रेनिंग और उसमें कोई कॉम्प्रोमाइज नहीं करना चाहिए। और देखिए, अगर आप इस चीज़ का पालन करेंगे तो हिंदुस्तान के लिए, अपनी स्टेट के लिए और कहीं ना कहीं जिस इंस्टीट्यूशन में आप प्रैक्टिस करते हैं उसका जरूर नाम हो। आप लगातार चलते रहेंगे। कभी भी जब ट्रेनिंग को हम कोचिंग करते हैं तो उसको ट्रेनिंग के साथ साथ अगर वो उसको अपना बच्चा समझेंगे तो जो बॉन्डिंग होती है, वो रिलेशनशिप होती है, वो ज़्यादा स्ट्रांग होती है। ये नहीं कि 3 घंटे या शाम को 2 घंटे के लिए हमारे साथ बच्चा रहा, वो ओवरऑल उसका डेवलपमेंट उसके आपके हाथ में है। तो वो बॉन्डिंग होती है, सोल टू सोल होती है। तो कहीं ना कहीं इस तरह की जब बॉन्डिंग होती है प्लेयर के साथ तो बच्चों में ज़्यादा अच्छे विकास होते हैं।
So, as I said earlier, that it was a very special episode to be shooting from ISM campus, and we are fortunate to have the entire, not the entire, but majority of the Third Man Cricket Show's team with me on the campus. So, it was really great working with them in person, and we hope to see all of the hardworking members that we have on the show to be together once again when the situation normalizes in the future. So, in closing, I would just like to say that it was a great episode to shoot with both Ronak and Rishi. Always good to hear your insights about this test match, and we hope to see yet another Headingley classic, but in the favor of India, of course. We hope to see India finally getting on to that point where we can't lose a test match. So let us hope for a great game of test cricket. This is Sanchit Desai signing off as your host for the day, and enjoy the match. We'll be joining you tomorrow before the second day's play at the same time, 12 p.m. So do join us. Make sure to follow us on all the social media platforms. We are the Third Man Cricket Show. And don't forget to hit the bell icon so you don't miss out any updates from us. So till then, take care.